everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Male Perspective. I'm your host, Lana Reid, and today I have with me Mr. Jalal Wilson. He is an author, mentor, entrepreneur, and so much more. I just was reading about him and I can't keep up with him, but I'm so excited to talk to him. First and foremost, though, Mr. Wilson, welcome. Thank you for making time for me today.
Thank you very much for having me today. I really appreciate being here, being on your podcast. I'm very excited. Thank you.
Awesome. So let's get going because I have a short amount of time today and I want to try to pack everything that you are in this 30 minutes. I'm going to try. As I prepare for these interviews, one of the things that I do is kind of scroll through the guys' social media. So I was on your Facebook and I saw a post that you wrote and let me look down here and read it. Growing up can be hard when you thought you were grown the whole time. Okay. So I kind of want to start there and we will move on. But I want to start about you and your personal journey and some things that you've come to understand as a man. And I have three areas that I want to discuss. So kind of do the where I was then versus the man that I am now and how I've grown in my behavior, my philosophy, and everything. So the first topic I want to ask you about is how have you evolved as a man in the areas of what you thought parenting, fatherhood was, and what I see today?
Okay, that's a great question, and I think for me, it's a lot. Because I've been a single father for the last 8 years of my children. So fatherhood's looked a lot different than it was when I, first became a father. When I first became a father, I'm like, okay, my job is just to provide, make sure we got what we need at the house. I take care of that portion of the things and, playing with them and just interacting with them on that level. And that was kind of the gist of what it was. I wanted my children to have a good childhood. So, I tried to do the things that would make that be the case.
Mm-hmm.
And then, life changes as it often does. When I became a single father, totally different ball game because I'm responsible for a lot of different things. I'm responsible for not only their well-being. Now I'm the primary cook. I mean, I'm all these things, right? So I think as men, we are not always good with our children on the emotional side of it. So now I've got to, jump in on the emotional side and not just be the one that says you need to get this done, blah, 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 blah. I got to jump in now on the emotional side too. Well, how does this make you feel? So I'm having all these different type of conversations and, it was a big change because, you're not really, somebody says it all the time, there's no roadmap to parenting, right? And so you can read all the books you want, but they don't apply to exactly your set of your children. So you've got to, figure out, you can get these tips, but you got to still figure out how to apply them with your kid to get the most out of that child. So it was definitely, something that I felt like now when I look at myself, I've learned so much. It's not that I perfected being a father. I've just learned. And a lot of times what we learn is what we need to do better. And that's some of the things that I've come to learn in this process, right? It's just, man, okay, I need to listen to my kids more. I need to provide instructions a little bit differently than maybe just saying, hey, you need to get this done. Maybe I got to break it down and explain why I'm asking you to get this done, or getting your input instead of saying, because, I grew up in a household where your mom asks you to do something, your dad asks you to do something, you just do it. You're not asking questions about the why. But if we want our kids to grow up and question things in society that they don't feel aligned with who they are, that starts at home. So they've got to be able to ask that why this or why that question sometimes. And, even if you don't feel like you got to give that answer. So that's some of the things I was working on as a parent, just learning to be more of the, okay, I got to ask more questions. I got to be patient. I got to do all these things I'm not really good at, you know? And so I'm working. I'm a work in progress. I don't think
Awesome.
you ever really make it. You just, you scoot a little bit more to this side.
Get a little closer to the finish line.
Yeah, I'm a little bit better today than I was a few years ago, but still got a ways to go.
Mhm. Awesome. Now, before I move on to the other two areas I want to discuss, I do have a quick question listening to you speak. Because, like you said, life gives us directions that we weren't really expecting. So, being a single father, and I think I saw some beautiful pictures, there's 4 of them, correct? 4?
Yes, yes.
Um,
There's 4 of them.
how did you, as a single father, keep your sanity?
Oh, I'm not sure I did, but but I think for me, it was really about setting some personal goals for myself. And one of the things that I had got into really big during the heart of it was starting to work out, um, having a mentor to kind of help me. Somebody who's been like, I have an older cousin that I really look up to. He was a single father. So having someone, who can mentor me on some of the things that I was going through, and then
Awesome.
also train me physically to be a better version of myself also helped, you know, me as I went along, and just a good support system, a really
Awesome.
good support system.
Awesome. Okay, good. Now let me go to the next area about manhood and your journey and stuff that you've learned, and Jalal back in the day versus who we see today.
Yeah.
And that question is, how have you grown in this journey in regards to relationships?
Okay. And relationships, I think it was always the hardest thing for me. I got with my ex-wife, my children's mom. I was 21, she was 18, and we had just got together. And then a year later, we're having babies and all this other stuff. And so I didn't know who I was at that point. And I had not done any work to really figure out who I was, or what kind of even standards or I should have for myself while being in a relationship, and also the standards I should have for the woman that I'm going to be in a relationship I was with.
Okay.
Like, I didn't have any of this. So back then, as they say, I spoke as a child and I behaved as a child in my relationships, because it was built on all of it was built on what my eyes could see,
Mm,
instead of, what may have been best for me at that space in life. It was just a visual. I was just all visual. And partly that was because I grew up, I used to wear the big old Coke bottle glasses and all of those things. So women wasn't really checking for me. So at all. So by the time I got to a certain age and I'm like, okay, they started to look at me, I'm like, well, you know, I got to make up for lost time. And so it's just, and now I look at myself and I'm more understanding as I go through this season of settling down and deciding to remarry again. It's a different thing, right? It's a season where I'm learning to, again, that patience word, have more patience for myself, and for my woman. There's certain, because we are 2 different people and there's no 2
mm,
people alike. So just being in that space where I can take a step back and say, okay, these are her feelings. I don't have to take these feelings on. I have to acknowledge that she feels this way, and okay, be okay with that, and just
okay.
offer, is there anything I can, you need me to do as you work this out? Because
Okay.
I think before, we as men, we're problem solvers. So I wanted to work, there's a problem, I'm trying to figure out, even if it doesn't help me, I'm trying to solve it just so she didn't have a problem. And then
Yes.
it just doesn't work like that. Like it's not conducive for both parties in a relationship. So just being patient, I think patience and understanding, and like I said, this is all work in progress. Like I'm not there yet, but I know I know I know what I'm working towards. So that little by little each day, 1%. That's all I'm trying to get. 1%.
Just 1%. Now let me ask you this. Because you mentioned the divorce, and now we have the new soon to be wife in the picture.
Yes.
But there was a time in between. You were growing and kind of analyzing self. During this process, what did you come to say, you know what, this is what I'm looking for in a woman now? I did this, I messed it up, I did it wrong, but now this is what I'm looking for in a partner.
Yeah. My dad told me something a long time. It's my stepdad before he married my mom. He said that he wrote down on a piece of paper exactly what he was looking for in the woman that he was gonna marry. And what I did during that time period, because I remember telling my brother after our divorce, I was like, man, it ain't gonna take me long to find me another one. And he was like, he told me it took him 7 years. I said, 7 years? And he's a sucker, because there's no way it should take 7 years. There's too many women out here. So I'm like, so I'm a non-believer in this. So it was funny because it during that time period, so I'm dating, but I wrote out this list of the things that I wanted in a woman, but I also wrote out a list of things that I want to become as a man. And so, because you got to have both, right? I can find a woman of my dreams, and if I still think like I thought, when I was in my first marriage, then divorce number 2 is coming up soon.
That's right.
So I had to write down both. And then once I had an idea of what I wanted, your focus changed, because everybody's not your cup of tea when you kind of know what you're looking for. It's almost like that thing when you get a new car, and in that car you get, everywhere you go, you start to see your car, right? So you start to see more of the people. You don't pay attention too much to the other cars. You didn't care about those other cars before you decided this was the car you wanted. That's why you never really seen it. And so for me, it was just like, I stopped focusing on trying to be the right person for everybody and just focused on trying to find the woman that meets some of the standards that I've decided that I wanted in a woman. And then, kind of dated, got my heart broke some hearts, trying to figure it out, and settled on what I think is correct for me. And it took me 7 years.
Awesome. Congratulations to the both of you. And I think it's very good that you not only did you write down what you were looking for, but you also wrote down the type of partner that you wanted to be to her. Because I think a lot of times, and this is for men and women, we want the perfect wife, or we want the perfect husband, but we never sit back and say, what am I going to do to be the perfect partner for this person? So I think it's good that you kind of analyzed it in both directions. So, I mean, and kudos to you. You guys look so cute together. I mean, we're going to plug the social media, but I'm going to tell everybody now, you need to go and look at the social media, because they are just adorable together. They're just so wonderful together. So, we need to have, the, what is that? We need to get you guys a theme song, the Black Brady Bunch, huh? Here's a story of a man named.
Right. Because we got 7 kids between the 2 of us. So, that's us. That's us right there. So, yeah.
Awesome. So let me ask you the last area, and this is the big, total encompassing area here, about your journey and what you've learned, and where you were then and who you are now. How has your philosophies or behavior on what a man is, what does a man look like to you?
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I think what helped my philosophies change on what a man is just, first of all, not looking on social media to figure it out. I think that is one of the biggest traps men fall in, is this allowing that outside world to determine who you need to be on the inside. It can't be done. And your standards of what that looks like for you as a man is going to be totally different than somebody else's who has a different, raised a certain way or done things a certain way. You've got to figure out what that is on your own. And so for me, going through the whole process of, deciding what kind of legacy I wanted to leave and how did I want to show up in the world and what type of things am I doing now that are going to prevent me from showing up in the world the way I want to show up in the world.
Okay.
That changed how I operated, because I can't be, I can't, if I'm gonna get married, I couldn't be the guy who's in every woman's inbox, trying to say, hey, what's going on? And I can't put myself in every situation that might be an opportunity just because it is there. You have to develop this kind of almost this wall around self and say, hey, these are the things that I value. I got to stay in this box because I understand that this box is going to keep me going the direction I need to go. I can't play outside of this box. I played outside of that box and it just gets you off track. There'll be some shiny things outside that box that look really great, really amazing. A lot of amazing opportunities outside that box. But if they don't align with who I am and where I'm trying to go, even if I'm not there yet, but where I'm trying to go in the future, then it just don't fit. And so I just taking that philosophy is just like, I got to decide who I want to be. And I'm still working out, like, there's no blueprint for this either. So, I'm learning a lot from like people I respect, like Dr. Miles Monroe. He was one of my favorite. When I was younger, he prophesied over me at a church. I've seen him in person many times, and his philosophy on manhood and becoming a man and just, some of the responsibilities of a man. Like, one of the things the man is put on this earth for is to work, but not just any work. He is put on here to do his purpose, his life's work. And so for me, taking the time to figure out what is my life's work going to be, how am I going to be able to feed my family and take care of my responsibilities as a man while doing my life work and not get sidetracked by just doing a job that, will feed my family, but there's no longevity to it. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question.
Good. So the manhood thing, let me continue on this because I want to segue to the book before I get out of here. But being a father of four, single father of four, it's a very it's common, but it's not really talked about society. We more so want to hear about single mothers, but there is a theme that goes along, stereotype, I want to say, that goes along with single mothers, and that is that they coddle their sons and they raise their daughters. So I want to ask you, as a man, as a single father, raising four, and I think if I saw the pictures, it's 3 boys and 1 girl, right? Correct?
Correct.
Do you see any variance in your parenting between the children, or is it just equal across the board?
I honestly believe that there should be some type of variance, but I am a straight across the board. But I'm working on it because I do believe there should be some variance. And figuring out what that exactly looks like, I haven't quite figured that out yet, but I do feel like there should be some variance. I want my boys to figure out their life's purpose. I don't want them to go in the direction of understanding that they are not only responsible for themselves, but they're also going to be responsible for other people, a family, and just understanding that the decisions they make in their teens going to affect their 20s, and same thing, 20s, affect your 30s, all of that. So I want them to understand that. And I also, with my daughter, I want her to understand that, I think the thing I'm hitting on the most with her is just understanding that yes, it's okay to work, because she's really on this, I want to, she's at the age where, I want to work and get my own money. And I'm like, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But I also want you to think about too, what are some things you can create with your own natural talents that you already have? Like, what are some things that you like? How can you turn this into something that could feed you later on down the line, so you don't necessarily, you'll be happy if you find somebody, but it's not you don't have to settle for certain situations just because, you haven't quite figured out life. So I think that's the thing I hit home on her, try to hit home on her with. But I do believe there should be some variations, but coddling, I don't think it helps boys or girls. I think there's a way that, because life isn't going to coddle anybody. It never has, never will. And so, getting them to understand that, but also you don't have to demasculate them to understand that. And I think that's where we get in, where that little stigma is with single mothers, is that sometimes feeling the need to demasculate your son, and that doesn't help or work.
At all. So I'm assuming that baby girls' crocodile tears don't work, and the boys don't get away with it either.
No. But what's that thing? You can't. I'm trying to. My woman is trying to work on me with this the mushy stuff, to try to balance it, because she's like, they've seen that part of you. They need to see the the more emotional, yes, that side. So I'm working on that. I'm trying to find it.
All right. We're gonna cheer for the lady, and hopefully she breaks through, she cracks you here, because you can be well-rounded and still be a man. So, but let me go ahead and segue into these books now, because if I read correctly, you just recently started this journey of being an author. Am I correct?
Yes, this year. Yes.
Okay. And the first book is My Dad Is Not a Mom. Is that Correct. Was the first one? Okay. Yes. So you are a big challenge to the greeting card industry. Every Father's Day, I see these single mother Father's Day cards, and I'm always like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But here you are, My Dad Is Not a Mom, setting it. So how did this book come about? What made you start to write that one?
My son had came home one day from school, and he was kind of questioning, like, why all his friends live with their mom, or, their mom and their dad. And he's kind of, he just didn't understand. So I thought about that situation, and because it was one of my first situations as a single father with them. So I thought about that situation, and I just tried to get him to understand, that every family is not alike, and you can still find some great things in your own family and your own family structure, and just kind of get him to see that. So that was kind of where I started the journey as a single father. So that story always resonated and just stuck in my mind, because I just remember he was just like, so dang, man, why is this? So it was something that stuck, and I felt like it's something that need to be talked about, because we need to talk about, how do we find, wherever we're at in life, how do we find some joy and happiness in that moment?
Okay, good. Now, the most recent one seems to be parallel to your own life. Daddy's Getting Married. Is that the most recent one?
The next one will be, well, they're both gonna come out the same day. So Daughter's Bad Hair Day, and then Daddy's is Getting Married. Yes, that's gonna be the third one. And it kind of is a maturation process, right? Okay. So my daughter's Bad Hair Day, that was towards like the middle, I would say. And so the whole thing is a maturation process. So I remember trying to do her hair, and I couldn't do her hair for the life of me. And, she she was of the age now where she's going to school and people actually, make fun of you about your hair. So
Mm-hmm.
we had an incident, and I had a cousin who's a hairdresser. So I started taking her I didn't have much money. My cousin wasn't charging me much, but she was like, just bring her to me. I'll get her hair
Oh,
right. And so she was doing that for me. And then after this one incident, my daughter never let me touch her hair again. She literally never. She went to my cousin for a while, and then she learned how to do her own hair, and has been doing her own hair ever since. Like braid, she can do it all. But I got her the mannequins and stuff to practice on. I got her
okay.
everything she needed. Um, and she be doing other people's hair now. So it was just,
Okay.
yeah, it was just crazy. And then the last one is that he's getting married is because, you know, we don't talk about, how those things affect kids and, their feelings around it. In this book, I kind of go through some of the things that my children were saying, our children were saying, just
Mm-hmm.
their thought process around it, right? Like, how's this going to affect me? I don't know
Yeah.
this person. I don't like this person, or, whatever their feelings are around it. So just having that conversation. And this book wraps up this season of my life. So
Okay.
I feel like all three are just really new. I'm in the middle, and now I'm ending this season and going into a different season of life. And that's what this series represents, the maturation process of fatherhood, of manhood for me.
Okay. Great. Great. What, uh, if you could share, if you're comfortable sharing,
Yeah.
what do you think will be the most challenging, or what concerns do you have about creating the harmonious blended family?
I think the challenges are understanding that there's other parents on both sides
Mhm.
who are not in that home. You're always going to have these other parents who have influence on your children. So you can only control what goes on in your space. But
Okay.
when they go to their space, you got to deal with all of that, right? So just trying to, one, understand that that's going to happen. And then
Mhm.
two, do the best you can to create an environment and keep, what's the word? Keep reiterating, what the standards are in your home.
Mhm.
And, that is the best you can do with that situation, because it's challenging. It's going to be challenging because, we're all human and we
Mhm.
all like see things differently and, parent differently. My ex-wife parents a lot different than I do.
Mhm.
Her ex-husband parents a lot different than she does. So, and kids, one thing they're good at is work in the middle. Like they can, they they have no problem. They mad at you. I want to go to my mama. They mad at their mama. I want to go to my daddy.
Uh-huh. Adults are just double dutching in this
Yeah,
situation. Adults are like,
yeah,
whoa,
yeah,
whoa, whoa.
yeah. Yeah, and I don't play the game.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not gonna play the game. So,
that's right. That's
you
right.
know, I like Jordan Peterson. He said, your home should be, a great place, but they should never want to stay forever. And so that is, that's it for me. I'm gonna do what I need to do, but you ain't staying forever. So
That's right. Awesome. Awesome. Great. Now, your books are published under a company that you and the future Mrs. Wilson have. Is that correct?
yes, Enlightened Minds Publishing. And we just I think reading is something that enlightens our minds. And so we decided to go with that name, and we sell everything through our website, enlightenmindspublishing.com. We're going to actually have a free course coming out here soon of how to publish your
Awesome.
book, a 12-step guide to self-publishing your own book. That we're going to have that coming out soon. And because I really think, how you get your ideas out is you put them on paper and present them to the world so they can outlive you. I'm
That's right.
reading books all the time from people who are not alive.
That's right.
So I
That's
think it's
part of your
important.
legacy. Part of your legacy.
Mhm.
Now,
Yeah.
you are also, before I ask my random question, I also want to, the most important to me, because my inner fat kid is just a beast. You're a man that cooks, from what I understand. You have a cooking show?
Yes, yes. It is Jay's Barely Cooking. And I've got some, because I cook, but right, I'm not the greatest. Like there's certain things I'm really good at. And there's other things that, I'm just not there yet. So I really like to cook the things that I'm not there yet to just kind of, you know, get better at those things. So on Jay's Barely Cooking, we've got some episodes done. They're going to be on our YouTube channel coming out. I mean, it's going to be out soon. And I'm just cooking like an array of different things. I like trying new things. I actually have some original recipes that I'll be sharing and cooking and stuff. So yeah, I love food. I love good food. I don't love just all food. I love good food.
Good food, good food. And you are a man after my own heart because you're trying to go vegan. I've been a vegetarian for 20 plus years. So me and
Oh
you and
wow.
yeah, so I won't be watching the videos on YouTube. I'm gonna tell you that now, but I will be front and center at your door with my knife and my fork, like, what we eating today? What we eating?
Yeah. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all.
All righty, dear. So let me go ahead and ask my random question, and then I'm going to get you to tell everybody how they can pick up the books and how they can connect with you and all that stuff. So let me do my random question here. Let's see what we got here for Mr. Wilson here.
All right.
Okay, so let me make sure that this is just you, not the whole household. All right, just
Okay.
you.
Okay.
Could you give up access to the internet for a month?
Yes, I could. I could. It would be hard. Like I got a little flip phone, right? I switched to this. I switched to this for like a few weeks. I would get more done if I switched to the no internet for a month. I get a lot more done. Whole lot more done.
Okay.
But I'm not going to volunteer to do that. I could do it. I'm telling you right now. I'm not about to get off here and start this right now. I'm not even going to lie to you.
We've become so dependent on it. So
Right.
I mean, I'm everything. I don't know how many times I go to Google a day. Like, well, let me see what Google says. Let me Google. So I feel you. It's nothing I'm a volunteer for. But if I was put in a bind, okay, I can make it work.
Yeah.
All righty.
Yeah.
All righty, dear. So tell us how we pick up the book, check up the podcast, or we want to pick up some recipes, see the pictures of the family coming together. Is there a date planned for the wedding, or did I miss the wedding? Or
No. It's at the August 28th. So
okay.
August 28th. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So just
So
tell us
we got
so
a
we
little
can
time.
look on the internet, see the pictures and everything like that. Just tell us how we get in touch with you.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook at Jalal Wilson, Jallal Wilson. You can find me on the gram. It should be the same, but it's not. It's I am Jalal Wilson. Again, I am Jallal Wilson. And then if you want to connect with my books or anything, you can go to my website, www.enlightenmindspublishing.com. I'm not going to spell that out because I hope you can spell it.
That's right. Because we got enlightened minds.
So right. Yes.
All righty, dear. Well, I wish you and the family and the future missus and, just lots and lots of blessings and success. And I just think you're doing awesome. It is not an easy feat that was dropped in your lap a few years ago, and you've handled it. You have handled it. So, just everybody, y'all need to go to his Facebook page because there's just it's just wonderful. It just warms your heart. Warms your heart. I was so impressed. So just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep doing what you're doing. I think for anything, the kids need to see not only a man who stands there, plants his feet firmly like a man, but who's willing to say, look, I don't have all the answers, but I'm gonna work it out. I'm gonna get it together. Right. Just give me time. Give me time. I'm gonna get it together. So
yep, exactly. Yes, that's my whole thing. I ain't got it yet, but I'm gonna get it.
I'm gonna get it. Just hold on a second. I'm gonna get it.
So,
so that's it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me. I truly appreciate it.
I thank you so much for having me. This was a pleasure. I've enjoyed this immensely. Thank you.
Awesome. That's all for this week's episode of The Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and I will see everybody next time. Oh.